So I'm on a long ride, exploring new countries, exploring certain areas. It's a wonderful ride. Perhaps it was raining, or perhaps it is going to rain. I've been on the bike for many hours, perhaps 8 or 10 hours. There are many factors. Maybe I didn't sleep well during last night's camping trip. Maybe I didn't sleep well because it was raining or it was very cold and the tent was flapping in the wind. There are many factors that affect your riding experience, your camping tour, your race, the key event that you planned all the days, all the weeks, all the months for, perhaps even years. And what is the single most important aspect of the success of your journey? And that is your mental ability to stay on track. Now, the mental ability is really summarized in mental training. And that is what we're going to discuss today. How do you keep going? What motivates you in the first place? And how do you achieve your goal without failure? So, mental training very simply starts with a requirement or a conscious decision of having to change something in your life. So, perhaps you need to lose some weight, or you have a goal of achieving a certain physical activity. Maybe it's a cycling race, maybe it's a running race, maybe it's a swimming race. It all starts with identifying the requirement to do a change in your lifestyle. And the change can be training your body to achieve a different level of activity. The level of change or the degree of change is really governed by your mental ability to drive your body to achieve the change. So, to drive yourself to train harder or longer or more intense or in a different way or in a different technique. So, this is all mental training, or it is governed by your mental ability to do these changes. So, very quickly, you discover that the training isn't easy. Um, it takes a certain willpower, it takes a certain amount of effort, and quite a bit of discomfort to stay focused on your training. It's much easier to cut your training right short, go home, have a shower, and sit back and relax. But that is not going to achieve your goal that you must set yourself. So, training is quite hard. It's associated with a lot of discomfort due to the training effect or weather conditions or whatever else might be. So, you need a very good reason to train. So, setting a goal is very important. Now, you can set yourself uh, a 6 months goal or a 1 year goal or a multi year goal or a goal to achieve a certain objective. Maybe you want to do a certain race. Maybe you want to achieve a certain body weight. Whatever your objective is, it needs to be clearly identified. You can always change your goals in time to come, but start with a realistic high goal. Even if you set an unrealistic goal, you will achieve it. So just set a goal and start working towards it. And whenever it gets difficult, focus on your goal. The recording of the data is important, but what is really much more important is keeping track mentally of what you are doing. Every ride you do, be very conscious on how you feel, what you want to achieve on that specific ride. Be conscious of how the weather affects your well-being, your training, how you feel, how you going to achieve your objective. because this mental awareness is really what's going to drive you forward. So, as you train, you will find certain activities in your training program that really promote your gains, and some of the activities might be counterproductive. So, that might be overtraining or too little training, or you realize that certain aspects of training really work well to achieve your goal. So the training tools you use are basically what is available to you or what you can buy. So be very careful to overspend on training tools because you cannot buy your gains. If you buy a more expensive bicycle, it doesn't mean that you are fitter. If you invest in gimmick things or things that the pros use, doesn't mean that you are getting fitter. Your fitness simply comes by you training more and harder or sensibly for what you can do. Analyzing your data is very important, but don't spend too much time on that. You will find the more you train, you will achieve your small incremental goals in any case. And it's very satisfying whilst you're on a ride, mentally being aware of what you are achieving and realizing that, wow, I actually done it without even stressing out about it. I kept on training, I kept on working according to my strategy, and see, I've achieved my little stepping stone. At the end of a training session, just think about how you executed the objective of your training session. Did I spend 50% of the time training my objective or 80%? And just think about what can be done differently in the next or subsequent training sessions. Are there things that distracted you? Can you avoid those distractions? Are there things that keep you on track? Can you improve those things? Just think about it consciously. And that is basically mental training. So I measure and track my training data on a regular basis. But the mental clarity, the mental understanding of my training and my physical well-being is the most important part. And that comes from within. You gotta you gotta from within feel and explore what are the changes in yourself achieved by your training session. Mental toughness is something that you learn, and it really is that information pool that is available to you, gained by being conscious about the many training sessions you have done in all sorts of weather conditions, training conditions, physical and mental conditions. The more information you have, the stronger you are mentally. Because for every challenge you have a solution. Or for a new challenge, you might draw on previous experience and combine different solutions to create a new solution. Really, the bigger the experience, the bigger the knowledge pool you have, from that knowledge pool, you can create solutions for the problems that lie ahead. And that really gives you the ability to drive your effort further. So the more solutions you have, the further you can go. And that is why I train in even the worst conditions. When it's minus 17 degrees, it's for me a golden opportunity to go out and ride for as long as I can, being very conscious how it affects me and what can still be done with the resources available to me. Or if it's a rainstorm, or if it's very hot, riding at 45 degrees for 8 hours, you need to experience it to be able to say, okay, in those conditions, That's what I must do. And that is really mental toughness. You can base your decisions on experiences you made in the past. The more experiences you have, the stronger your mental decision making is. It is only with this in depth knowledge that you've gained by mentally training your awareness of what's happening around you and within you that you can achieve your goal event. It might be a race, or it might be a tour, it might be a camping trip in my case. Whilst I'm on this camping trip and riding my 30-kilogram loaded bike, and it's a strong headwind for the last 4 hours, and I still got 40 kilometers to go, how do I feel? What have I achieved since the start of that training ride or camping ride? How far is it still to go? How do I currently feel? And what must I do in terms of intensity and nutrition and changing my clothing perhaps to achieve the goal of the day? And that is really based on experience. And that experience is a mental recording of what you have done in all your training sessions. Keeping track of your training session on a spreadsheet, on an app, or on a program is important to give you training gains whilst you sit at home. But when you're on your bike, out racing, or on a camping trip, it is important that you have that information imprinted in your brain and that you can draw on that information to plan ahead at that time, at that moment, at that space where you are right now on your trip. So, in conclusion, mental training for me is simply being mentally more in tune of my body. So, what do I want to achieve and how do I achieve it? And those are simply instructions I give to myself by drawing on experience that I've mentally recorded in the past and evaluating the different options I have available to plan the ride ahead. So that might be during a camping trip where I'm on the bike, still having to do 50 kilometers before I reach the next camping spot. And it's raining and it's a headwind and I'm cold and I'm hungry and I don't lose track of what I want to achieve. So, in those conditions, you have to draw on your experience. If you're cold, stop and get dressed warmer. If you're hungry, eat. If you're tired, have a short rest or rest appropriately. So, you can even rest whilst you're riding, just ride a little bit easier. But whatever it takes is based on the decisions you can take on the experience you have recorded in your mind. Recording on paper is good, but you have to record in your mind. And that recording in your mind is really, for me, mental training. Mentally be prepared to do the challenge that lies ahead. It is incredibly satisfying getting to the campsite, putting up your tent, making yourself a nice meal, and being able to reflect and say, wow, that I did well. I strategized well. I was able to draw on information that I've saved in my mind. In other words, my mental preparation, my mental training was successful, and now I can have an awesome time, go to bed, and recover for the next day's adventure. See you on the road. Ciao.